you want to save money on your trading card purchases, we have a promo link over at 50cards.shop. Enter the promo code ATNIGHT to get 5% off your order.
100.
Hey everybody, Atlas here. I'm here with a Great Nature premium deck profile, which I realize I haven't done in a long time. Not counting the Vita premium episode I did about it, this is the deck that I'm playing as of right now. I should be noted that it changes here constantly because I'm always tinkering with it. So that's just how I am. So let's get into the deck first. Starting off, you have your 4 of Bigbelly. This is a card that I'm pretty sure Boucher was supposed to work in premium too, because the effect to get a draw if something is retired by any card's ability during each battle phase or end phase. So that includes killing off stuff. That end phase ability is so good that it works on either end phase. So either from yourself or if your opponent does it, it's just so well done. The other effect is you can stand something with 20k or greater when it attacks. You're only going to use this once per game. Honestly, it's fine. It's not really a huge deal. The big part is just leveraging that first ability to draw a bunch of cards. Everything you kill in Great Nature can now become a draw. It's like everything has life insurance all the time. It's just so good. 2 copies of Bigbelly, who is basically Crayon Tiger. The reason that I don't run Crayon Tiger anymore, which you will notice, is that there are too many G guards that can disrupt your board, which means that Crayon Tiger, if he gets his booster taken away, does not work. This does work, so that's pretty good. Also, if you call this on an Excel 1, it immediately turns on the success ability to stand something. So that's why the deck uses Excel 1. Also, you draw a lot of cards, so you probably die if you used Excel 2. You sometimes do go into Excel 2 if you're behind, mostly. I'm having a bad time. I need that extra card. The other effect too, on ride or when someone strides over it, you can call something from hand, give it 4k, and at the end of the turn, draw and retire. So if you end up having to ride this, it's not the worst thing in the world. The good thing is this deck is very good at searching grade 3s, so this does not happen very often. This is a big thing. So Rotting Usurp Dragon is a Stoicheia card. When a grade 3 or greater Vanguard is placed, so that's riding or striding, you can call this card from drop zone to rearguard circle. So this is fantastic because it means that every single turn you will get a warm body from drop zone that you can then buff up with all of your various skills. And then it dies at the end phase. You draw cards because of Bigbelly and repeat it on following turns. I tried running this at 2 and had a bit of a problem in terms of I want my other rear guards to do things. So this is kind of the doping effects usually end up going to this. You buff it up, Bigbelly and all that sort of stuff. Make it huge, use that as your swinging target, and then it'll die, and then you get it back next turn. It's just a very good card, and if you're wondering, well, there's only one, how am I going to find it and get it in drop zone? Like I said, so many ways to search grade 3s. Love this deck. 1 copy of Rocket Hamadon. So this is a tech that I'm currently tinkering with, where when something is put on another additional circle, you can counterblast, put a card from hand into soul, give the thing you just put in Hamadon +10, and then if you have 2 or more soul circles, draw 1. I run this literally because Great Nature is so bad at soul, and you can use this to then build your soul up, and then you can make Hamadon huge. It's also good if you happen to be going first, and because of the amount of grade 3s you can run, you can use this to turn on Bigbelly's ability to stand everything with 20k or more. It doesn't come up very often, but it's still something you can do. If we ever get a better soul engine for Great Nature, if Stoicheia smiles upon us perhaps, I'll probably end up taking this out because it's mostly just used for the soul, not so much for the power or turning on Bigbelly. But that's the way it is right now. And then lastly, 2 copies of Testervox. So Testervox, when placed on Vayner rear, you counterblast 2, put 2 cards from your drop on bottom of the deck. He gets 5k, and then if 1 each of a normal and a trigger unit were put, search your deck for Researcher Fox, the grade 2, call its rear, shuffle, and then act on Van or rear. You can Soul Blast, choose one of your rear guards, give it 10k, and then at the end of the turn, retire that unit, and if it was Researcher Fox, you drop it. So you are almost always using this card for the first ability. because Great Nature has a stride that allows you to call things from hand in the middle of the battle phase. So typically what I do is I will keep this in hand, and then have, your drop zone is your drop zone, right? Stuff goes to it. You then, on attack, you call Testervox from hand, who then puts a normal and a trigger unit back in deck, calls your Researcher Fox from deck, and it's a great way to just like kind of get the drop on the opponent. That's mostly what you're using it for. The first ability is also good for like recycling the over trigger if you had to guard with it or it got milled or something. Soul Charge. It's a very like good way to kind of keep yourself from decking out also in a pinch. That second ability almost never comes up, but when it does, it's nice to like, all right, buff up Researcher Fox and get an extra draw in addition to the Bigbelly draws you have. It's almost like a little engine that you put in Great Nature, and I very much 4 copies of the new Compass line, where he's the 13k, fat ass, and then at the end of the turn you gotta kill something. So instead of trying to turn Great Nature into something it's not, and making my early game into this like, all right, call your hand, attack, and like it's not a deck that's good at that. It doesn't really have an early game to like leverage into. This isn't like Gold Paladin or something. So I leaned more into the angle of just like make it annoying for your opponent to do stuff. So like Compass Lion, for example, is like being a 13k on turn 2. It hurts a lot of decks in terms of like them trying to be aggressive to it. So that's why there's 4 of them, because you want to write it. And then also, like later in the game, it's mostly just used as a big old beat stick. 13k buffed up to whatever it is from your dopes and things like that. So that's why it's a 4 of, and that's why it's in the deck at all. Is just I leaned into have a big butt turn 2. So yeah, 1 copy of the Researcher Fox, who is the latter part of that engine, where on additional, so if it's on an Excel circle, when something's milled, it gets 5k, which doesn't come up very often, but it's something. And then when it's retired by your card ability, Counterblast 1, search your deck for a copy of your Vanguard, put it in your hand and shuffle. So this doesn't come up very often, but it's nice to like deck fit, get another copy of Bigbelly you can use for a discard or rewrite for another Excel circle. So literally just part of the engine. This is something else I'm trying out too. Blooming Petal Caraphilius from Stoicheia, and I know I pronounced that wrong. But when placed on rare fear, Soul has no card Soul Charge too. So this is mostly used for like, just again, Great Nature is terrible at Soul. So this is a way to just kind of give yourself a little boost. Most of the time you end up taking it on damage, but it's nice just for something like that. I think this might come out again if we get a better Soul engine, or if I just like restructure the deck. But the way it is now, there's a lot of Soul Blasting going on, so you need stuff like this. 2 copies of Alania. So 1, this is a 10k body, so it's a good backup ride on turn 2 from Compass Line. But the other effect is when placed from hand, Counterblast Soul Blast, get a grade 2 or less from drop, call it to rear, and it gets 5k. So again, you may notice that it's from hand, which means that does work like the Testervox combo I mentioned, where you can use her to then call something else and make for more attacks. It's also just good to like recycle stuff from the drop, which Great Nature can't really do except for Testervox. So real good grade 2. It's got a fat butt. And I don't mean that in a sexist way. I mean like just 10k body, fat for an Excel. 1 copy of Blusher Parakeet. So on play, check top 7, grab a grade 3. It gets 3k, and then if this was on rear guard when you do that, kill itself. Being that Heal Guardians are grade 3s, and this is Great Nature, which can search grade 3s, this effect is very good. We run a lot of grade 3s, and you have Heal Guardians, which are a big deal. This might be the only deck that I know of where I'm actively searching my heals in advance of the stride turns and not trying to use them as heal triggers. That does tend to happen in a lot of decks where like, all right, I'm keeping my grade 3 in hand so that I can use it for defense. This can help you do that, and also like grab Rotting Usurp or Testervox or whatever else you need. One of my favorite combos is Ride Compass Line, call this to rear, and then Compass Line has to kill something anyway, so just pick off your Blush or Parakeet. 2 copies of Artistic Ocelot. This can be basically anything you want. On attack, you can dope something, and then the other effect is act on rear if you have a Bigbelly Vanguard. Counterblast, dope, and life insurance something, so you can double up on that. I found myself not really using as much Counterblast as I thought I would, so just thought I threw this in there. This changes a lot, but as of right now, this is what I like about it, so cool. 2 copies of Ocelot. 4 copies of Mini Belly, so this allows you to grab your grade 3. I don't run any of the original Mini Belly because this deck is so good at searching grade 3s. The other, the 5k condition is if you have an occupied Excel circle, which is so stupid. It's never live before turn 3, which is a pain. But aside from that, it being on an Excel circle means it's hitting 23, which is force numbers, because it fulfills its own condition. And yeah, it's just a real solid grade 1 10k shield, helps shore up your defenses and things like that. 3 copies of Nestobi. So on attack, if it hits ball on Vanguard, you draw 1. So this is a great first turn ride along with Mini Belly. And then if it dies, if you have a Bigbelly Vanguard, countercharge 1. So this deck, tends to be okay on the countercharge front. I ended up keeping this at 3 instead of something else you may see in a bit here, just because I want the strong opening. You get 1 card ahead. Your opponent doesn't typically guard on turn 1, so you usually get 1 card ahead, and then on future turns you can then undo a bunch of damage when you draws from it. So real nice card for Bigbelly. 1 copy of Deli Belly. So this is a deck where you can afford to run a non-draw PG, and this thing is so good because it's after you guard with it, or if it just dies at the end of the turn for the rear guard circle, you can Soul Blast, draw, and countercharge that. So again, you see Soul coming into the equation. But yeah, it's just it's a really good PG. 3 copies of Mike Saburo. So this is what I meant when I said good at searching grade 3s. When you on play pick something, and then when it dies during the end phase, grab a grade 3, put it in your hand. Bigbelly, Heel Guardians, Testervox, Rotting Usurp Dragon. Grab anything you want. This is a 3 to 4 of in pretty much every Great Nature deck since it came out. Not even just at the time. Just every single Great Nature deck that can run this has run this because that's such a good ability. And yeah, so you can use that effect for both offense and defense. Grabbing Heel Guardians, grabbing your Ride, etc. This is one of those things. It's outlasted even Crayon Diner, which I thought would never go away. 1 copy of Afflated Lemur, which if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, when you place it, mill, and then if it's normal unit, soul charge. If it's trigger unit, counter charge. Both things are appreciated in Great Nature. This is again a tech. If you don't want to get this, just put a 4th Nestobi in. I've considered upping the amount of this and lowering the amount of Nestobi, but having it do nothing until turn 3 makes it so it might as well just be attacked and nothing else. For triggers, you have your Heel Guardians, 4 Stride Crit, always good. 4 fronts, and this is the Stoicheia front that gets 5k shield if the opponent's a grade 3 or greater. So again, focusing on defense, but also because Great Nature, I call things from hand during the battle phase. This can kind of shore up that without much effort, and is a 20k shield otherwise. Great card. You got your Stoicheia PG, which is fine, and then 3 draw PGs. So getting on to the G zone, I have 2 copies of Battle Roll. So this is both your first stride and usually your late game stride. So you Soul Blast, flip something face up. Your front row gets 4k for every copy, or 4k for each card face up in G zone. That includes Battle Roll, by the way. And then they all get red text when they hit Vanguard, draw 1. So again, makes all your rear guards a big, threat, right? Every hit is an extra card. And then for each of the rear guards you did that to, they die at end phase, setting off Bigbelly's effect. But also, if you are going first, and then if you search for Heel Guards and use those to PG, Ballot Roll gets a lot scarier faster. Because you go, all right, I G-guarded twice. Now I go into Battle Roll, my front row gets plus 12, and they all get on to draw. Like, your opponent just has to let some of that through. And then late game, it's just freaking wacky, because you're like, all right, plus 24 to the front row. Great card. 2 copies of the new one. This is a Caladrius, and allows you to flip. Front row gets 10k, rear guards only this time. And then when it attacks, you counterblast, stand something with 30k or greater, so this is usually the thing on the Excel circle. And it gets red text when it attacks. Your opponent has to guard triple door, so 3 or more cards at the same time. This is a great way to close out games if you started off on the right foot, or if you just if you have 2 Bigbelly and 3 counterblast. This is freaking hilarious, because you go, all right, I have my thing there. I call my 2 Bigbellies. I do Caladrius. The thing on the Excel circle is over 30k because, let's say it's Neztobi. Neztobi's already at 18 by itself. You then use Caladrius to make it 28, and then swing with Bigbelly, or swing with the thing for 28. Swing with Bigbelly. Stand the thing. It's now at 32. Swing again. Swing with Bigbelly. Stand again. It's 36. Swing with Caladrius. Stand the thing again, and now it's 36 with triple door, and then whatever triggers that. It's a card we needed, and I think it was well done. It also does not need soul for the effect, which again is a big freaking deal because this is a great feature. So great card. 2 copies of Managarm Aurum. Now this is a card that I use differently than most people. So a lot of people use that first effect where you mill 4. You either get an extra drive or give 10k somewhere if it's a trigger or a normal unit respectively. And I use this if I'm really behind, I don't have any rear guards to call. But the other effect in G-Zone is when your Vanguard attacks, you can Soul Blast and call something from hand. So I use this to kind of sneak up on people. Great Nature is a clan that not a lot of people know about, or care about, is more accurate. So if you like flip this up with Caladrius or Ballot Roll, when your Vanguard attacks, you can then call, say, Testervox or Alania, like I was saying before, and then use their effect to call something else. So when your opponent says, how many attacks do you have left? You can be like, I don't know, man. It's up to you. So yeah, that's why the soul is such a big problem, because I'm using this to kind of like do wacky stuff. So that's why. Great 2 of 1 copy of Fernigus, who is literally just used for the Link Joker matchup. Otherwise, it's flip fodder. It kills your things at the end phase and then you draw and countercharge, slow charge. It's not great on its own, but it's fine. 1 copy of Afunk, who can keep your stuff from dying, again for the Kagero matchup, and otherwise it's flip fodder. 1 copy of Kill Timka, so when it becomes successful, you put 4 cards on bottom, pick something, and then dope and life insurance it. I mostly just use that for not decking out, because you're like, all right, 4 cards on bottom. I got 1 more turn left in me. So, good card for that. It mostly just comes up if the game goes really. This new one either gives you counterblasted mill, and then if it's a normal unit, it gets 20k until into battle, and then if it's a trigger unit, it's a perfect card. So this is better in Isabel, where every mill counts as both, but it's also good just for like, all right, I need a big shield, and it's either going to be a big shield or it's going to protect me completely. So that's why. I've also used it as like a Hail Mary, right? Like, I need to block this completely. It's a trigger, thank God. All right. So it's a pretty good G card. 1 copy of St. Kalpa, who can allow you to draw, and is also just a big G card. Like, if you have just 1 thing, which you typically do, that is then plus 20 to your Vanguard, and you get a draw. It's just a very good G card. I'm surprised it's a rare. Ardillo, who can combo with Bigbelly to draw you cards, and is also just a big shield. So you can use this to like kill off Neztobi, get counter charges, and draw cards. Because it's during either battle phase or either end phase. So, alright. 1 copy of Kundalini, who allows you to get counter charges in a pinch, and then which then activates Bigbelly's effect to get you a draw before your turn starts. And then let's see, was there anything else to it? Oh yeah, Al Mirage. So I don't This, again, isn't as good as it is in Isabella, where it allows you to call two things and then keep them from dying. But in terms of like stuff you can do, you can mostly you can call Testervox during the battle phase to get Researcher Fox from deck if you need the Interceptor that bad. But aside from that, there's not really much like crazy stuff you can do. It's just better in Isabel. It mostly ends up being flip fodder for Spangled, who can allow you to replenish your hand, just throw your whole hand at the wall, then draw the same amount of cards. So, yeah. That was pretty much the entire deck profile. Let me know what you think. Leave a like, leave a comment. Great nature represent, or whatever. I'll see you next time.